Thank you. You may now be seated. Before we commence Invest Malaysia, let us begin with the recitation of Dua led by Mr. Shafiq Azhar from Bursa Malaysia.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the worlds. God's blessings and peace be upon the noblest of prophets and messengers, our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Allahumma ya Aziz ya Qahar, with your mercy and protection, on this blessed day, we are truly honored to host Invest Malaysia 2024, where Policy Meets Progress in Iskandar Puteri Johor, officiated by Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, the Prime Minister of Malaysia. Allahumma ya Zal Jalali wal Ikram, we seek your blessings for a flawless program of this forum from the beginning till the end. Please make our gathering here today a blessed one. Allahumma ya Zal Arshil Majid, maintain the stability and harmony of this country so that we live in prosperity, peace, and develop as a civilized society and a country with which you are blessed as Baldatun Thayyibatun wa Rabbun Ghafur. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adzaban nar wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you, Mr. Shafiq. Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar bin Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia. Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk On Hafiz bin Ghazi, Menteri Besar of Johor. Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, Chairman of Bursa Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Sri Utama Hasni Muhammad, Advisor for Economic and Investment, State of Johor. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Omar Swift, Chief Executive Officer of Bursa Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Khairul Saleh Ramli, President and Group Chief Executive Officer, Maybank. Yang Berusaha Mr. Novan Amiruddin, Group Chief Executive Officer, CIMB Group Holdings. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Omar Siddiq bin Amin Nur Rashid, Chief Executive Officer, HSBC Bank Malaysia. Distinguished speakers, ahli-ahli yang berhormat, senior federal and state government officials, and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this installment of Invest Malaysia, themed Where Policy Meets Progress by Bursa Malaysia and in collaboration with Maybank, CIMB Securities, and HSBC Malaysia. My name is Audrey Raj, and it is my pleasure to be your host today. Ladies and gentlemen, Invest Malaysia remains a flagship event in corporate Malaysia's calendar, dedicated to elevating Malaysia's profile among global fund managers and institutional investors. Today, the platform aims to showcase the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone as one of Malaysia's key growth drivers and emphasize its appeal as a sustainable and competitive investment destination. Without further ado, I now invite the chairman of Bursa Malaysia, Yang Berbahagia, Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, to deliver his welcome remarks. Dipersilakan, Tan Sri.
Thank you, Audrey. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia. Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk On Hafiz Ghazi, Menteri Besar Johor. Datuk Seri Utama Hasni, Datuk Umar, esteemed panelists and speakers, distinguished partners, investors and guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning. Salam Malaysia Madani. Welcome to our flagship edition of Bursa Malaysia's Invest Malaysia Series 2024, Invest Malaysia Iskandar. It is indeed our pleasure to return to Johor for another key event. Last year, we were here for Bursa Malaysia Marketplace Fair, primarily engaging with retail investors. And today, our curated event is targeted to engage institutional investors as part of our multi-dimensional engagements. It is fitting that we meet in Iskandar, given much of today's discussions will be on the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, and theme where policies meet progress. Today's series will explore how Malaysia and the Special Economic Zone in particular offers investors valuable opportunities within the nation's developments and growth plans. We are truly honored to have with us today our Prime Minister, Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Datuk Seri, thank you for your presence, which is a testimony to your unwavering pursuit in championing and driving Malaysia's economic progress. Thank you too to our Menteri Besar for taking time away from his Mahkota by-election, if I may. Now, please allow me to cover 3 areas in my welcome remarks. Firstly, on the significant achievements of the equity markets in 2024. Secondly, the key factors driving such performance. And third, a quick outline of today's proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, 2024 has indeed been a really good year for our equity capital market. The benchmark index, our FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI, gained 15% year-to-date as at yesterday's closing, making Bursa Malaysia as the best performing market in ASEAN. This resulted in our overall market capitalization to reach 2.05 trillion ringgit, having surpassed the 2 trillion ringgit mark for the first time in May this year. The market has been very active, with year-to-date average daily trading value increasing by 64% to 3.37 billion ringgit from 2.06 billion ringgit last year. Foreign investors contributed 35% to trading value, with net inflow of 4 billion ringgit. For the first half of 2024, Bursa Malaysia is the leading stock exchange for IPOs in ASEAN, having raised some $450 million, representing 33% market share of the region's IPO market. In fact, we have already recorded 35 listings to date, with 6.1 billion ringgit in funds raised in total, and total market capitalization IPO of 25.7 billion ringgit. There are several more listings anticipated for the remaining quarter of 2024, and we are indeed optimistic of meeting our target of 42 IPOs this year, a level not achieved since 2006, when we had 40 listings. And the market outlook remains robust, bolstered by sustained interest from both domestic and foreign investors. In fact, our 3 Invest Malaysia partners here this morning, Maybank, CIMB Securities, and HSBC, have higher 2024 year-end targets for the FBM KLCI at 1,720, 1,732, and 1,740 respectively. One of them, in fact, 2 days ago, issued a higher 2025 year-end target of 1,920 level. Now, that's actually 14.7% higher than yesterday's closing of 1,673. So, what are the key factors influencing such performance? Well, obviously, there are multiple factors, but please allow me to highlight 3 of them. First is the favorable macroeconomic environment in Malaysia, with GDP growth of 5% for the first half of 2024. And this was driven largely by the Malaysian government's Madani Economic Framework, which was launched by the Prime Minister last July 2023, supported by key policies such as the National Energy Transition Roadmap, the new Industrial Master Plan 2030, and the National Semiconductor Strategy, among others. Second is the continued strong trade performance, with total trade in the first 8 months of the year rising 10.9% year-on-year to 1.9 trillion ringgit, and the continued trade surplus of 78.2 billion ringgit. Malaysia's current account surplus for the first half of 2024 was sustained at 19.2 billion ringgit level, representing about 2.1% of GDP. And the third factor is the strong encouragement by the government for the government-linked investment companies and other investors to prioritize domestic investments, which generate not only competitive and healthy returns, but will also create business and employment opportunities in the country that will help further spur economic growth in the country. Now, such positive factors, plus other external factors, such as the lowering of US interest rates, have resulted in Malaysian ringgit strengthening against the US dollar by some 10.4% to the 4 ringgit and 13 cents level today, compared to the 4 ringgit and 61 cent level at the beginning of the year. The growing confidence is also reflected in the increased FDI, with approved FDI for the first half of 2024, as reported by MADA, reaching 74.6 billion ringgit, 16.7% higher than last year. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Bursa Malaysia's efforts in driving capital market conversations over the years have in part helped to connect corporates, market participants, and the government in fostering a collaborative environment for economic growth. Our Invest Malaysia series, in particular, is designed to enhance Malaysia's profile to global fund managers and institutional investors. Since our first Invest Malaysia in 2005, we have conducted 31 Invest Malaysia editions in Kuala Lumpur and 59 Invest Malaysia Away editions in major financial cities across the globe. And this included the Invest Malaysia New York, which was presided by the Prime Minister last September. Today's conversations promise a wealth of insights, starting with the Honorable Menteri Besar of Johor, Dato' On Hafiz Ghazi, who will provide an on-the-ground and inside perspective of Johor and its stakeholders. We can expect the MB to promote the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone as an attractive location for multinational companies, capitalizing on complementary strengths of cost-efficient operations in Johor from available land and solid infrastructure and Singapore's financial and technological sophistication. And this will be followed by the highlight of today, the Right Honourable Prime Minister sharing his vision of economic transformation through strategic collaborations benefiting Malaysia and Singapore and the wider region. After lunch, we will have panel discussions that will discuss the Ministry of Finance's new Gear Up initiative and explore Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone as a win-win proposition for both Malaysia and Singapore. And for that, we have 4 CEOs of GLICs, among others, to speak at the panel session. And it is unfortunate that our Minister of Economy, Tuan Rafizi Ramli, is unable to make it today. He's not well today. But in his place, we have arranged for 4 CEOs of Bursa Malaysia, Maybank, CIMB Group, and HSBC, who will step in for him. And that will be the last session in the evening to wrap up our event today. I would like to encourage all of you to participate actively in the discussions that will follow. Your insights and perspectives are certainly invaluable as we work together to shape a more prosperous and sustainable future for our respective countries. And in closing, please allow me to acknowledge our partners for today's endeavor, Maybank, CIMB Securities, and HSBC, who are represented by their respective group CEOs, Dato' Saleh, Encik Novan, and Dato' Omar, and their respective teams from various organizations for their contribution behind the scenes in making this event a success. And I wish everyone a successful and productive Invest Malaysia Iskandar. Thank you.
Thank you, Tan Sri. It is now my great pleasure to invite Yang Amat Berhormat Dato' On Hafiz bin Ghazi, the Menteri Besar of Johor, to deliver the special address. Dipersilakan, Dato'.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam maju Johor, salam Malaysia Madani. Yang saya hormati, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Prime Minister of Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar. Yang berbahagia, Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Utama Haji Hasni Mohamad. Yang berbahagia Datuk Muhammad Umar Swift. Yang berbahagia Datuk Harul Saleh Ramli. Mr. Novan Amiruddin, Dato' Omar Siddiq, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to record my sincere thanks to the organizers for hosting the Invest Malaysia conference here in Johor. On behalf of the State Government of Johor, allow me to extend our warmest welcome to the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, and all the distinguished participants who have traveled from different parts of the country and the world to be with us here today. To our foreign guests, selamat datang ke negeri Johor. The crowd we have today is proof of the strongest interest among investors as well as strong momentum in Malaysia and Johor. The theme of today's conference, Where Policy Meets Progress, is apt, and I believe many of us here, especially practitioners in the various sectors, can instantly connect with it. It will especially resonate with the many leaders, policy makers, economic planners, investment bankers, and the talented teams of people behind us who have spent a great deal of energy building the thinking and collaborative links that makes what we have before us possible. What I would like today, by means of welcome, is to reinforce to all of you why Johor is an unbeatable investment proposition. You have probably seen the headlines, including in the global media, of all the exciting things happening in our state, including petrochemicals, manufacturing, logistics, data centers, and more recently, the special financial zone and the special economic zone. We in the Johor State Government believe that good policies should never be formulated in silos. On that note, I would like to thank again the Honorable Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and the federal government for their continuous support and wise leadership. Let's give them all a big round of applause. What I want to do today is to shed some light over why these things are more than just merely headlines, to show all how policy is meeting progress here in Johor. Let me put forth briefly 4 points I feel is relevant. Don't worry, Yang Amat Berhormat, I'll keep it short. I know you have a busy schedule ahead of you. Ladies and gentlemen, the first point is stability. There is understandable spotlight of the ongoing Mahkota by-elections that's happening as we speak. That's why I'm wearing my favorite color today. It must be pointed out that the Johor State Government enjoys a 2/3 majority in the State Assembly, further boosted by our friends from Pakatan Harapan. The stability has allowed us to execute the various initiatives under the Maju Johor 2030 initiative. Succinctly, it involves 6 key thrusts, namely good governance, economic development, social safety net, facilities and basic needs, safety, cleanliness, environment, and last but not least, the youth of Johor. That has served us as an outline to the state's development in the past 2 years. And with the support of the federal government, the results are starting to bear fruit. Johor's GDP growth outpaced the national average, expanding by 4.1% year-on-year in 2023, compared to Malaysia's 3.6% growth. The services and manufacturing sectors contribute 84% of Johor's GDP. Consumer spending and retail trade have been lifted by a rising middle class and increasing per capita income. Furthermore, Johor recorded 5.2 billion ringgit in July exports, contributed by petrochemicals, electronics, and non-metallic materials from well-established industrial areas such as Pengerang, Pasir Gudang, and Tanjung Langsat. All of this creates further economic growth as they feed global supply chains, providing the energy and manufacturing materials for various other sectors. The Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA, approved 751 projects in Johor, totaling 43.1 billion, accounting for 13% of national figure. Our manufacturing output grew by 2.8%, surpassing the national average of 0.7% last year. Ladies and gentlemen, secondly, everyone knows how intertwined Johor is to Singapore. But that really is only one part of our connectivity proposition. Investors to our state have excellent connectivity to regional and global chains through Johor Port and Tanjung Pelepas Port, one of Malaysia's busiest ports and largest transshipments for a significant portion of the nation's container traffic. Just as important is the support and funding for large-scale projects, such as the Johor Bahru Singapore Rapid Transit System Link, RTS, and the expansion of the Senai Desaru Expressway and North-South Expressway. Furthermore, we are collaborating with the Ministry of Transport in finalizing details of a local transport network that will complement the RTS to connect the landing points in JB to the other developments throughout the JS SEZ. We are also making good progress on soft connectivity, such as the implementation of a passport-free QR code clearance system and adoption of digitalized processes for cargo clearance at land checkpoints. All of this also could not have been done without the support of the federal government, and we hope to get the continuous support from Yang Amat Berhormat. Ladies and gentlemen, thirdly, in terms of policy support and alignment, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, his cabinet, and the team members from Ministry of Finance have all been instrumental in their backing for this project. We have seen the rapid development and deployment of the Invest Malaysia Facilitation Center, located at the Special Financial Zone, the first IMFC outside Kuala Lumpur. It will be a one-stop facilitation center for consultation services and business affairs. This is all part of the ease of doing business here in Malaysia and Johor. You will also have heard that we recently launched incentives for the FCSFZ. This too is proof of the strong collaboration between the federal and state government. We are grateful for the support we have received, although I must tell you, the MOF sometimes, Datuk Sri, drives a hard bargain. You have officers that are tough to crack. But in all seriousness though, the FCSFZ looks to stimulate greater economic activity as well as complement the strengths of Singapore. Meanwhile, the FCSFZ's incentives announced by the MOF will also help position it as a competitive financial hub. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, talent. Let me assure you that Johor and Malaysia as a whole has a deep and rich reservoir of talent. This key resource has been driving Johor's manufacturing output across diverse sectors, including electrical, electronics, automotive, as well as petrochemicals in the Pengerang Integrated Petroleum Complex. These did not come at the expense of industries that have been here for decades. To this day, Johor still demonstrates its deep capabilities in oil palm production and refining, and is a key producer of poultry, eggs, fruits, and vegetables. Many have drawn by not just skills, but the determination and dedication of our talent pool. We have also created a Johor Talent Development Council, JTDC, as part of our efforts to contribute to JSSEZ's industry manpower needs. The JTDC will, among other things, study the effectiveness of existing programs and courses. The JTDC had its first meeting on the 17th of July, chaired by Yang Amat Berhormat Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Zahid, and attended by key ministries and agencies to discuss plans to address talent issues in the JSSEZ. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, the point of all of this is that investors in Johor are not beginning from a blank slate. Clearly, you are investing in a constantly nurtured, ongoing growth story, a story that will have many good decades ahead of it. In terms of location, land resources, advanced infrastructure, a diverse economic landscape and talent, Johor is ready to serve as the bedrock of a new economic engine for the country. I am sure Yang Amat Berhormat Prime Minister of Malaysia will expand on how bridging gaps and serving as a center of gravity can be a kind of blueprint where the federal and state agencies work hand in hand to build a better future, not only for ourselves, but inshallah, for ASEAN as a whole. Our spirit is this: where Johor wins, so does Malaysia, and vice versa. Let us work harder to sustain this momentum to ensure that Malaysia and Johor remain firmly in the radar of the global investments community. Sekian, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Yang Amat Berhormat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to lead into the highlight of today's conference, we have a brief showcase of Invest Malaysia over the years. Please sit back and enjoy. And there you have it, Invest Malaysia by Bursa Malaysia, elevating Malaysia's profile and driving capital market conversations since 2005. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to the highlight of today's event. With this, I have the pleasure to invite Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Sri Anwar bin Ibrahim, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, to deliver his keynote address. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Alhamdulillah, nahmadu wa nusalli ala rasulil karim. Saudara Menteri Besar Wan Hafiz Ghazi, Saudara Datuk Asni, Tan Sri Wahid, keluarga besar Bursa dan penganjur termasuk HSBC, Maybank dan CIMB, rakan-rakan dan tetamu yang saya muliakan. Sekali lagi saya ucapkan setinggi penghargaan atas ikhtiar yang dimulakan oleh Bursa dan kerjasama Kerajaan Negeri Johor di bawah pimpinan tokoh muda yang cergas untuk memacu pertumbuhan yang menggalakkan. Kali ini kita lihat banyak usaha memacu pertumbuhan dan pelaburan, dan Iskandar merupakan salah satu kawasan agak strategik, terutama bila diperkenalkan satu zon keuangan dan zon ekonomi. Dan tentu kita bermanfaat kerana hubungan yang sangat baik dalam konteks ASEAN dan utamanya dengan negara Singapura. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are fortunate because we have had a strong start this year. We outpaced expectations in GDP in the first 2 quarters, and the third quarter is looking promising. The ringgit is performing well, while the Bursa is outperforming regional peers, as alluded to by Tan Sri Wahid, surpassing 2 trillion ringgit in market capitalization in May 2024. Now again, more fortunate because we are in ASEAN, relatively the most peaceful sub-region in the world, and economically vibrant, considered to be one of the most progressing at a pace unprecedented. And therefore, we must introduce new initiatives to attract investments and to work as a family of nations. That's why I mentioned our satisfaction and gratitude, not only to the collaboration with the state, but our neighbor, Singapore, and within ASEAN, because we have achieved this relative success because of effective collaboration and enhancing bilateral relations and growing trust between leaders and the general society, business community, and also the public at large. And I think this is an important indication that we believe in the spirit of complementarity. I think Prime Minister Lawrence did allude to that fact, and I certainly share that vision and look forward to the bilateral session that we'll have towards the end of the year. I'm arguing with the Menteri Besar, who thinks that all meetings must be in Johor. And I have to remind him, as I always remind the King of Malaysia, that he is King of Malaysia, and I happen to be Prime Minister of Malaysia. I want to make sure that other states feel comfortable and relaxed. Notwithstanding that, I do give some priority to Johor. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, politically we are stable, fortunately, after relative turbulence in the past years. Johor, of course, is commendable because it still maintains a 2/3 majority, as is in the federal government. And this strength is used to ensure that we have better governance. It's unfortunate that Malaysia is sometimes being associated with some excesses in terms of high-level corruption and poor governance. That is why, or precisely the reason, why the crackdown against corruption is clearly a priority set by this government, and we must remain consistent to make sure that this continues. Because through effective measures of good governance and ridding the country of corruption, we will only achieve better efficiency and transparency and ease of doing business. Because the inordinate delay in many of these approvals are because of kickbacks that can be considered as the necessary oil ingredient to obtain fast approvals. So now we have seen in Johor the collaboration between the federal government and the state, and the strong, effective collaboration with Singapore. And therefore, the economic zone announced by the governments, policymakers, investors, and businesses from both nations have collaborated and participated in turning this into a success. Now, connectivity, talent development, ease of doing business, real estate development, these are and have been areas of focus to us. And I am glad to see real progress. Areas or issues that we have to address, of course. Teledevelopment sounds attractive, but things change in the post-normal times at the pace that is unprecedented. I allude to the issue of three major ingredients of post-normal times: chaos, complexity, contradictions. And understanding this, happening, all these issues, chaos, complexity, and contradictions, happening simultaneously. So we term it as simultaneity. You can't address one issue at a time. You have to address 20 issues at a time. And that's why we need Menteri Besar like On, who has that extra energy. And on talent, of course. And these talents cannot be produced under normal syllabus or school system. Things have to change at a pace that should be fast. Projections, normally Ministry of Education or Higher Education will only have to take years to introduce a new curriculum, a new system. But we can't afford that. When I was in Abu Dhabi and observed the success of their attempt to introduce AI as a university, Sheikh Zayed AI University, I think, I was amazed that they can do it at the pace and a fast pace and introduce a discipline that is relatively new at an advanced stage. So I came back and said, look, we have, of course, AI being taught because it's related to potential investments, but we don't have a proper faculty even. So I said, all right, have a faculty in Johor. This was not intimated by the Menteri Besar, it was my initiative, please. And, well, my concern is, you know, as a teacher myself and having taught at Georgetown University, a great university in DC, I realized that to introduce a new faculty will take at least 1 year to 2 years. And I said, we can't afford that. So I gave them a challenge, gave initial contribution, funds, and said, it has to be done fast. I wasn't sure that the university and the Ministry of Higher Education can make that adjustments. But I'm proud to say that the UTM in Johor Bahru managed to set up that faculty AI in 4 months. And this is amazing. Of course, there's an initial program. So we need banks, we need Khazanah, and we need established conglomerates, Bursa, to be able to collaborate with them, having that synergy to be able to assist so that we do produce qualified, competent graduates in new fields. Deputy Prime Minister Zahid, for example, is chairing the Tibet Council, and we cannot go on with the previous syllabus of Tibet training. The best is, of course, the private sector. So groups like Sunway should be able to adopt Tibet in the vicinity around their establishment here, and of course in Tambun, where I represent. They don't, Tan Sri Jeffrey shouldn't ever forget Tambun, for the matter, which is as important as Iskandar. Now, so that the involvement of the private sector in education, in Tibet, and technical training in AI would be far more efficient than having to run as a normal educational program. And I'm again thankful that many of these conglomerates and private companies have taken that opportunity, including Faisal Khazanah and Glix, banks. They have ventured into this program. So why I'm emphasizing this issue of talent? Because talking to NVIDIA, Infineon, and Google, and tonight Amazon in KL, most of them express their concern that whilst they are proud of the fact that we have disciplined, qualified workforce, but we lack that niche at the highest level. And that highest level must be given, the young must be given the opportunity to be trained now. And that has to be done together with the private sector, particularly training people through our government institutions for their own requirements. And with this, for example, is an indication how the collaborative efforts of government institutions and the private sector to fulfill the requirements of the future. And well, coming back to Singapore, Malaysia, we have collaborated on a great deal throughout our history. We have, of course, problems. Everybody has problems with their neighbors. And, but these problems are minor, not unsurmountable. People ask me, I think it was in India or somewhere, they say, what about South China Sea or problems with China? I say, look, all countries have problems with their neighbors. United States with Canada is, of course, a good example. And countries in Europe. But these are not issues that could create tensions or invite rancorous exchanges between one another. These are issues that you should discuss, but should not deflect from the focus that both countries have to succeed. And both countries are great partners and can be greater partners, or we do collaborate, benefit in a win-win situation. And that is why I'm excited to work with Singapore, and of course, giving a priority to the ASEAN collaboration, which we, Malaysia, will chair next year. Now, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, last week, we announced a competitive package of incentives to make Forest City a magnet for international capital. This includes a concessionary corporate tax rate between 0 to 5% and 5%, and a special individual income tax rate of 15% for knowledge workers and Malaysians who choose to work there. So Menteri Besar don't ask for anything more, because this is quite, should I say, special sort of a consideration, because we want to propel Johor as one of the primary engine of growth in the country. Now, the Forest City will also be the first location in Malaysia to offer zero tax rate for family offices. The single family office scheme, coordinated by the Securities Commission, aims to attract regional and Malaysian families to manage their family wealth from Malaysia. So we see how Johor and Singapore's Southeast Asia Manufacturing Alliance has worked together through a combination of natural and unique advantages enjoyed by both parties. Now, while the nation has targeted net zero ambitions by 2050, the focus on net energy metering and large-scale solar initiatives have accelerated development. You have seen major programs here, and I should say that a fantastic major program on solar collaboration between Tenaga and Petronas at Kenyir. Unfortunately, Johor does not have that big a lake like Kenyir. So, so this hybrid hydro floating solar, which using the surface areas of dams, reduces land usage as well as water evaporation. Now, Malaysian capital markets, which has been alluded to by Tan Sri just now, other than what's being said, then we have this carbon exchange, inaugural renewable energy certificates, auction, and now available for continuous trading. Expanding my address to beyond Johor, without losing focus on Iskandar. Now, taken together with various energy-focused projects in all states and regions of Malaysia, and you see Selangor and see Sarawak now booming as energy hub, we are confident of a surplus of energy that feeds developments such as the GSS EZEC, as well as have enough to grow our exports of energy. TNB, for example, has been signed to focus on grid from Kelantan to Johor. The ASEAN region represents our tomorrow. The bloc's future encompasses 680 million people with a combined GDP of around 3.5 trillion US dollars. It is an economy that has the potential to leap forward multiple times over the next few decades. Now, as Malaysia takes on the ASEAN chairmanship role, we have also stated our goal of building our relationship and joining BRICS grouping of nations. There are questions raised, but I said we are fiercely independent, we are a trading nation, we should continue to trade and leave the geopolitical battle to the rest. Our priority is, of course, economic development and the welfare of our people. So we have long had a warm relationship in terms of trade, education, and agriculture with many countries, and we intend to expand this sort of collaboration. Jadi sekali lagi saya ucap terima kasih kepada Bursa dan rakan-rakan yang bersama, kepada Menteri Besar dan Kerajaan Negeri, dan semua dengan harapan kita dapat jayakan usaha untuk merancangkan pelaburan termasuk program Invest Malaysia Iskandar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Sri, for inspiring us with your speech. Indeed, the horizon is very promising for Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, before we break for lunch, we will take a group Wi-Fi to commemorate this event. May I invite everyone to stand and for our photographers to come up on stage to capture this moment. Can we have everybody move closer towards the middle? Ladies and gentlemen, can you move a little closer towards the middle? Indeed, this is a momentous occasion where corporate Malaysia and global institutional investors converge in Iskandar, Johor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Sri Anwar bin Ibrahim, for gracing us with your presence today. I now invite Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Sri and our esteemed representatives to proceed for lunch. The usherers will lead the way.
Peradaban kita bangunkan, bina kota, bina insan. Dari budi jadi budaya, bina asas kemampanan. Kesejahteraan masa depan. Ayo seluruh anak bertivi, bangunkan Malaysia madani. Sepenuh hati, jiwa, semangat, terus meyakini Malaysia madani. Ayo seluruh anak bertivi, sembarakan Malaysia madani. Sepenuh hati, jiwa, semangat, terus meyakini Malaysia madani. Keyakinan jadi ikutan, pendirian jiwa ihsan, nilai hormat keras diminda, daya cipta luar biasa. Kesejahteraan masa depan. Ayo
And for our delegates, a reminder that there are 2 lunch locations this afternoon. One is in the adjoining room where we had the morning session. The second location is at Pendas Cafe on this floor. You would have passed it on the way here from the lift. Surau facilities are located on level 1 and the ground floor of the hotel. And ladies and gentlemen, please make your way back to this ballroom for the afternoon sessions. We will start at 1 p.m. promptly with the panel session on the Johor Southern Special Economic Zone. We'll see you back here at 1 p.m. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you.